and welcome to Shop Franklin, supporting small business, where we support, raise awareness of, and build community around Franklin's independently owned businesses. My name is Sarah Mabardi, and with me today is Amy Acevedo of Painted Lady Flower Farm. Hello.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I love your shirt.
Thank you, Mom. My mom made this for me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. So Painted Lady Flower Farm is a flower farm, exactly that, in Franklin.
Correct.
And it has been there for?
This is my 4th growing season.
Very nice. So clearly you haven't always done Painted Lady Flower Farm.
I've always grown things. I've done played in the dirt since I was a little girl. I've always enjoyed growing flowers, and about 5 years ago I was looking for a life change, a career change, and it seemed like a natural thing to do. It was a scary thing to do, but here we are.
Sometimes the best things are. So what had you done before?
Oh my goodness. I have a design background. My family owned a general contracting company, and for 25 years we did residential remodeling. I did kitchen and bath design. I helped with that. I have 3 children. My oldest is 18 and my youngest is 12. I have an art school background. I worked in retail for many years. I was a produce manager for 7 years, so I enjoy working with fresh things.
So it wasn't a huge jump. You were always in like aesthetics and building
and I've been a florist.
And you've been a florist
for a long time.
So you've been growing for a long time, and then you decided that this is what you wanted to do. This is where your energy wanted to take you.
I had a unique situation where I didn't fit into the 9-to-5 job mold. I had children with health issues. I needed to be able to stay home if they were sick. I needed to be able to drop and run if I needed to pick them up at school for any reason. So for a while I was working part-time at Grateful Farm in Franklin, which was a fantastic place to work, and was right up my alley, but the farm needs to go on if my kids have a sick day, and so it wasn't fair for me to stay on there. Meanwhile, this business was cooking in my mind, and I sat down with the farmer and I said, this is what's on my mind and this is what I'm going to be doing. And he said, what can I do to help?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so it began. So did you have the space on your property on Maple Street already?
Yes.
And so you just evolved it. And when I say just, this isn't something that happened magically, because if you have been to Painted Lady Flower Farm, it's a beautiful designed space with just, it's a system.
It's a system.
You know, it's not magic. It's a system that you've invested in.
When we moved to Franklin 18 years ago and bought that property, there was a swimming pool back there.
Really?
That little red shed in the very back was the pool house with the pump.
Okay.
It was a huge pool, huge school-sized pool.
And I've been there. I would not have thought that at all.
Huge. And there was a fissure from one side to the other where it was like this, and it was full of groundwater and bullfrogs and all manner of tadpoles, and it was just slimy. So we bought the place anyway. My husband grew up with a pool on Long Island, and so we had a company come out and give us a quote on what it would cost to get that pool up and running, fisher and all. And it was, back then, $16,000 just to have the pool hold water. And that did not include all new equipment. That pool had been sitting there like that for many years.
So it says something that the pool is no longer there.
So, long story short, we had the pool removed. It was not easy.
Mhm.
We hired a crew to come and dig around the pool. It was all permitted. It's all above board, so that we could knock it in
Yeah.
and then fill it.
Okay.
And so the guy was there all day, and toward the end of the day we got a phone call that, by the way, the walls on this pool are a foot thick, reinforced with rebar, and it's not happening with my equipment. I need another $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
And we had this really big, like, one of those huge implements with the pneumatic hammer.
Oh yeah,
come
to
up.
brush it, crush
When
it
they're
all
building
down.
when they're building shopping malls, those
Yeah.
really, really big ones.
Mhm.
That had to come into our backyard, and it was done in 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Very
And-
expensive 20 minutes, but 20 minutes.
And then the excavation company was currently digging several other swimming pools, so we got a lot of their fill.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it got all packed in there and leveled out. And our kids played back there a little bit. We had a swing set. My husband mowed it and mowed it and mowed it and mowed it. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours we just mowed that lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And there it sat. And it was time to mow the lawn. And then the kids got older and nobody played back there. And my idea was forming. And I looked out the back window one day. I'm still getting goosebumps. I was like, we can do this.
It's time.
It's
time. The tea kettle is ready.
Yes,
It's time.
So I went into the living room. My husband was watching football, and I said, let me bounce something off you. And so I went on this thing about how I wanted to grow cut flowers and yada, yada, yada. And he listened, and I said, and there will be dahlias. And he said, what can I do to help?
And so
there
the
you go.
path is paved.
Yeah, so we started.
Now, did you start with smaller plots and expand? Because when I go and
No.
see it now, it's much larger.
It's much larger now, but the main area that's deer fenced, that it was kind of go big or go home.
Yeah.
That was not something that we wanted to expand on. So we went and found out literally how big it could be, because we are surrounded by wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
So if that particular area could be bigger, it would be bigger, but it's not.
It's within the confines of
Yes.
allowable space.
Correct.
And every inch is used.
At some point in the season, not all at once.
Yes. But you rotate through.
Mhm.
Because different things have different growing seasons.
Correct.
And so, how did you decide what flowers to grow?
Well, I do have a floristry background,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to go into the Boston Flower Exchange early in the morning and buy flowers and fill up that cart and bring them back to the shop and unpack them and process them. And there are your basics, and then there were some really tasty bits that don't ship well and that were only available certain times of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were things that would come in, and I would look at them and think, I wouldn't buy that if it was free. I would not send it out in an arrangement. I also did freelance work with other florists, other designers, and it was always fun getting to work with the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to grow the good stuff. A lot of flowers don't ship well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that more than 3/4 of the flowers in the United States are not grown in the United States, that they come in through Miami from
Really?
South America, mostly the Netherlands, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the flowers in the flower shops are not
So
American
there's
flowers.
transport time there on top of being picked and not
They can
lasting
be-
long after being
they
picked.
can
But there's
be-
transport time from, say, might be familiar with Dutch tulips. You know, when tulips are hydrangeas even, and they're fragile flowers. So I didn't know it was that high of a percentage, but I also know that there are standards in place to treat the flowers prior to them coming to the United States.
Fumigation.
And so they're fumigated with chemicals to get rid of any pests that are not native to the United States.
Correct.
So that's something that's on all of the flowers that we see coming in.
So a lot of the flowers have been in a box for up to a week.
Really?
And then they come in, and the main job is to get them hydrated. Sometimes they're hydrated at the flower exchange, and sometimes they're not. They're just dry bunches, and you bring them back to the shop, and you have to
Revitalize them?
revitalize them
Interesting.
chemically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which leads us to two things. One, the flowers that we see here were picked this morning. Just this morning.
Yes.
So they've not been in a box for 2 weeks. And just touching them, you can feel how firm they are. Anyone who follows me on shopFranklin knows I'm especially fond of this. Well, dahlias in general, but this one I love.
Yeah, I think one
And
of your
all of these are
right
dahlias. And then the other thing is, leads us to the conversation that you grow flowers not just locally, not just the flowers you choose, but you grow them differently.
there. I do.
So tell me, we've talked about eating clean, and we've talked about lifestyles that promote wellness. Well, flowers need wellness too.
They do, and
to
so do the people
thrive.
who work with the flowers and
Yes.
who touch the flowers and wear the
So,
flowers.
how do you grow flowers differently?
Well, everybody's heard of organic. Organic is actually something that you cannot use as a term unless you buy it, you pay for it. You have to be certified organic. It takes 3 years and a lot of paperwork, and it's not cheap.
Yeah.
I am not certified organic.
And many local farms are not certified organic for that reason.
It's such a hassle if you're a small business.
It's a process, it's an investment, it's time, and you have to recertify. And that's not to say it's not worth it to grow in that way, but having the label.
Exactly.
And that's where you have trust with your local farmers, and you talk to them about their pest control management.
So everything that I use is certifiably organic. The methods that I use something called IPM. It's Integrated Pest Management, where I let the bugs do the work. There's good bugs and bad bugs. And I can notice that, and there's always going to be bugs. But once you reach a certain threshold, then you need to start figuring out, all right, what are my steps? And my first step is, well, what is their predator? Can I introduce their predator by either planting a host plant or actually buying little sachets of the bugs in an overnight mail and releasing them.
So, for example, aphids get eaten by ladybugs.
Ladybugs.
So introducing ladybugs that do no harm but eat the aphids, which can do harm.
And so you can put 5,000 ladybugs in your high tunnel, and in 2 days your aphids are gone.
That's
But
not ladybugs.
when their food source is gone, they go.
Okay.
So another way to do it is by planting beneficial plants that the bugs that you want to encourage to come in thrive on. So I grow a lot of alyssum. So the little white edging plant. My alyssum's about this tall now, but I will grow it in borders because it brings in lacewings, and lacewings eat aphids. And I love it when I'm stripping leaves and I find lacewing eggs, because I know I'm doing something good. Which brings me to why I don't go out and spray poison, because poison's going to kill the bad bugs, and it's also going to kill the beneficials, which means
you don't have that ecosystem that you're trying to promote.
Plus we have honeybees, and I have to be extremely careful with what I use.
I was going to jump in on that. Now, we won't go on a long conversation about honeybees. I'm a huge bee proponent, and without bees, we don't have food.
Correct.
That's kind of important. And on your flower farm, there's a sign at the entrance, and it's all, I love it. I love it. It's so, I won't say full of weeds, but it is a overgrowth of native plants and flowering plants, and there's a sign that says, "Don't mind the weeds, we're feeding the bees."
Correct.
And I love that. The very beginning of the show, we talked about how you do something that I do not excel at, but you're going to teach growing flowers. That's why I have my flower shares, because you do it so well. But you are going to share some of that knowledge with us today, and how to plant and keep your flowers from season to season. So why don't we go over and do that?
Sounds good.
All right. So here we are, where you are going to show us some of your expertise in planting flowers, seasonal flowers. And we talked about how you grow flowers differently. And these are considered slow flowers, correct?
Yes.
So the slow flower movement is along the lines of slow money, slow food, where you actually do kind of along the lines of Shop Franklin.
Exactly.
Where you stay local, shop local, invest local, grow local. And slow flowers is bringing it back to where you live and investing where you live. So that's part of how supporting Painted Lady Flower Farm is helping our environment without transportation costs. We're growing them in a safe and ecological and economical way, and they're all regional to this area. So it's true local flowers.
Extreme. No grown, not flown is one of the ways that one of my taglines on Instagram.
Grown, not flown. Perfect. And you can learn more about the Slow Flowers movement at, I believe it's www.slowflowers.com. So you can learn more about how that works. So we are going to learn how it works to plant these.
Okay, so dahlias you plant in the spring after frost.
Okay.
And there are all different kinds of dahlias. Go ahead.
And they're annuals. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're perennials, not annuals. How is that?
They're perennials if you are in a certain zone, but we are in a freeze zone, so they're not perennial up here.
So they're perennials in an area where you can leave them in the ground and they take care of themselves.
Correct.
But here, if we leave them in the ground, they'll freeze and rot.
Okay. But if you have a dahlia that you've grown this year, whether you've planted the tuber or you've gotten a potted dahlia from the nursery, there are ways to make that plant bloom again next year without buying a new one, and in fact increasing the amount of plants that you have.
And generally plants that are grown from tubers and bulbs, or tubers I guess, the more you plant them year over year and you prune them and you can even divide the tubers, the more flowers you'll get. So a mature tuber,
one tuber can turn into 25 plants depending on, some flowers are excellent tuber producers and some are lousy. So some you're lucky to get 1 or 2 tubers.
Okay, and we keep saying tuber. Let's show what a tuber is. So a bulb is a round bulb that you associate maybe with a tulip or some of your early spring flowers. This almost looks like a shriveled sweet potato to me.
Dahlias are related to potatoes.
Really?
Yes.
There you go.
So let's switch places for a second, and I will show you sort of what I mean.
The dirt's over there, so she's going to do all the work.
So this is Dahlia Mardi Gras. I have 10 of these. We're going to have a frost soon, and I'm going to be digging these up. So what I did is I sacrificed one plant a few weeks early just to show you how this works. So a lot of it has been cut off. She was quite tall. Actually, Mardi Gras, where are you? Here's Mardi Gras.
Oh, it looks like a Mardi Gras.
This is Dahlia Mardi Gras. So she is classified as, she's a miniature, and she's a formal dahlia. So dahlias are either formal, FDs, or informal, IDs. You like the formal dahlias that are just very, very,
symmetrical is what I always say. Firm, symmetrical,
but
very
see,
geometric.
both of these
are formal,
but they're a little bit different. This one is actually a ball dahlia. When she matures, she goes all the way back, so she's about tennis ball size.
Oh, wow.
The flowers recurve. This one won't recurve.
Okay.
So we've got ball dahlias. Here's a ball dahlia right here. And she's going to open a little bit more and still ball out. So anyway, there's different kinds of dahlias. Some of them grow 5 feet tall. Some of them don't grow any taller than, a foot and a half.
And this, I don't know, is this the dinner plate dahlia?
This is one of the smaller dinner plates. This is a side shoot from a dinner plate dahlia. The actual dahlia itself was about this wide.
Wow.
They throw laterals, and so this is a lateral.
Okay. Now, is that an informal or a formal dahlia?
This one is informal, because she's wavy, twisty.
I picture that one as like a yoga instructor. Wavy, twisty, bendy.
And you've got things like this. This is a cactus form. And what else do we have?
Now, but all of these come from the tuber.
So this is what they look like underground.
Okay, so this one is...
They all started with one potato, essentially.
Okay.
Not with anything growing out of it. That's actually been in the shed.
Okay.
So this is This started with one, so I haven't even seen this yet. Oh my goodness, look at this.
So this had been one tuber, and now we're seeing, I see,
Look, a lot.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Little baby one over there.
Yes. And it looks like the mother tuber has rotted. So the mother tuber is the original tuber.
Interesting. So it kind of deflates
it
and
just-
composts on its own,
correct,
and
correct.
almost like the sacrificial mother.
Sometimes it comes up, and you know it's not a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
So a week later, you dig them up, and you quickly. You don't need any of this stuff. You trim it off.
Okay. You've clearly done this before.
I have. And this is where it's going to get a little messy. So I'm going to get my towel. I'm going to move these guys.
Okay.
Put this down. Just going to set it there for a second. You take your hose, take it outside, and you just want to, do not use a strong pressure, because a strong pressure is going to damage the skin. So just a gentle, so pretend I'm hosing this off.
So it's almost like there's a fragile peel on there you want to keep
Very
intact.
fragile, just like new potatoes.
So just rinse, because they don't need to be perfectly clean.
No, they don't. So you have, at this point, you have two options.
So here we have our rinse tubers.
You have two options. I store my tubers in clumps for most of the winter.
Okay.
And then in the, say around February, March, I pull them out and I start dividing. But I have almost 600 dahlias this year.
Wow.
And so for me to store 600 clumps, that might not work. So I might be dividing right away on some of them, saving some clumps.
So for those of us who only have a few dahlias, we can go ahead and leave it intact
just like that.
this. So after that frost, that killing frost, we clip it, leave it in the ground for a week,
Yes.
and then go and gently dig it up around the perimeter.
Yes.
Clip off all of the little tendrils, rinse it off, and this is what we have now,
Correct.
a wet group of tubers.
So you let this dry.
Inside, outside?
I would let it dry.
Like a garage?
In the garage is fine. You want it to be dry to the touch, but just a couple of hours will do it.
Oh, okay.
You don't want it sitting out in the sun.
Okay.
In the when the weather warms up, you want a soil temperature of about 60 degrees.
Okay.
So you prepare your hole. You place them sideways, about 4 to 6 inches below the soil level.
Okay.
Put the soil on. You put your stake in there,
So you know it's there.
so you know it's there, and cross your fingers, and it will sprout when it's ready.
And then you should, after a few weeks, given the weather and water, see something like that poking out of the ground.
And if they start to grow like this in your house, that's okay.
Can you plant it just like that?
You absolutely can. I would bury this. I would bury that about there. And as the plant grew, I would put a little more dirt on top of it and make sure it was staked.
Coax it up and stable.
Correct.
And
So-
there you have a perennial dahlia in a climate that does not lend itself to perennial dahlias.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, I am this one, I think. Can you look at this and know what kind it is?
Yes.
This is her magic.
Well, I happen to know it's a red MFD because I took it out of the red MFD bag. I had too many.
You totally gave it away.
This one is this is Marianne. Marianne's a very prolific tuber producer.
Apparently.
And she's got lots of sprouts. So I had quite a few Marianne's. I started, I think, with 6, and I lost count how many I had.
They just kept going?
Yeah.
So we too, if we take good care of our tubers and plant them, can have an entire garden of dahlias.
And the idea is that you share tubers. Tubers are meant for sharing because you're always going to have too many. So you connect with people and you trade. I will give you some of my whites for some of your pinks. And dahlia growers do that as well. We bring in dahlia tubers in large amounts, but we also trade.
Nice. the whole spirit of community.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing your wisdom. Hopefully we'll see dahlias popping up around town throughout Franklin. Or, like me, you can participate in the CSA and enjoy your dahlias. And how do people sign up for the CSA share?
I run three shares, so I have a spring, summer, and fall. The dahlias are a fall share. You can go online, paintedladyflowerfarm.com, and click on subscriptions. The 2017 opens in December. Makes a great gift.
As I say, it makes a great holiday gift for anyone watching. If you might want one, maybe plant a seed of information to someone who might pick that up. So
paintedladyflowerfarm.com.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Amy of Painted Lady Flower Farm, for being here.
Thank you.
We will see you around town.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.